Hey everyone, and welcome back to Episode Club. Today we are going to be talking Season 3, Episode 3, Walk of Punishment. And joining me today are no strangers to Episode Club, and I want them to introduce themselves, and whoever unmutes first gets to go first.
Lord Totbeard here, and it's so great to be on Sashi Shansha. I loved your mother, but I love you more. And I am just so happy to be here. This is a very, very fun episode. Really, very lot of setup and exposition in this episode. Walk of Punishment. Uh, One of my favorite scenes from Tyrion, without any dialogue. Uh, Without further ado, I'll just let Sly the Tank Benjamin introduce himself. What's your name? Oh, I did it for you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Good evening. I choose you. Hey, I'm Ben Sly, the Tank Benjamin from Podcast Drinks and Those Things. Thank you, Kenzie, for having me on again. I always appreciate it. It's always fun to kind of go back and not have to be spoiler free and actually get to talk about stuff. Yeah, this is a fun episode. A lot of, like Johnny said, exposition and kind of cool build up scenes, but there's some really funny and just good scenes in this episode that you kind of forget about until you come back to rewatch it. It's like, oh yeah, this one. And just it's a good episode.
Yeah, most definitely. Like Season 3 pretty much has a lot of it does have a lot of drama episodes, but then there's some where you're just like action, cough cough, the red wedding, hashtag the rings of Castamere. Um, but speaking of death, um, the first scene we see in this episode is Rob and Catelyn at the funeral of Hoster Tully, and this is also the first time we see Edmure and Blackfish, and obviously Edmure doesn't get the shot right, and it's Blackfish that ultimately sets the body on fire. And then after this, they kind of talk about what Edmure has been doing ever since they've had, I guess, ravens sent to one another, and he kind of schools Edmure on how to do war, even though he is like 17, which is kind of funny. So, what do we think about this project?
Well, this whole scene sums up Edmure's shortcomings. As a soldier, as a man, he just never lived up to what he was supposed to be. He's kind of always a disappointment, and you gotta love the Blackfish. The walk away shot. The what he the fadeaway jumper.
The no
He
look
just
home run.
yeah, that's it. So, yeah, go ahead, Ben.
You're good. My only note on this one is talk about not rising to the occasion, you floppy fish, because even your king, you're so pathetic. Your king's even laughing at you, and like you see the shot of Rob after I think the third arrow, and Rob just kind of just like, okay, yeah, you're fucking pathetic, and it ties in perfectly to the next scene too.
1, 2, 3 times a lady. Don't know why that popped in my head. No, I enjoyed it. It was just a really fun scene. The whole rocks on the eyes too, so creepy. And that's just a show thing too. But I think it
Yeah,
adds this weird. I don't know. It just wigs. I don't know. It kind of wigs me out, man.
yeah, and it still bothers me that we don't learn about that until like season 6. It's like that's something that was in the very first episode, literally like the second scene of the first episode, never explained for like 6 seasons. Like, give us a little background on that so it's not just creepy rocks on your eyes.
Yeah, John Aaron. Those are some hella contacts. Kenzie, where you at? I
Oh,
see
hello.
sexy jawline guy.
Yes, sexy jaw. Yes, sexy jawline guy. This, I guess, sequence of Rob and Catelyn saying goodbye to Foster is kind of because we don't get this sort of scene in the show. We get it in the books, if memory serves me correctly, about with Rob and his sort of relationship a little bit with Catelyn and Hoster, like how he was like the grandchild and he knew him because obviously Rob was born in River Run, but it's one of those sort of things of how he's emotional about losing his grandfather after losing his father. But there's Talissa standing beside um, Rob at all
Was
times,
she writing
and
a letter this time?
I think so, because there's that whole scene with Varys and all that with like how they know about his movements. But anyway, just we can talk about that in a second.
That could be Ruth, but yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that Rob, after only being at war for maybe what a year and a half, knows so much about war compared to his uncle, who's probably been around for a few of them, and the fact that he talks about how they need more men than Tywin Lannister does, and the fact that they have a smaller army, and that it's not about glory. Winning this war isn't about glory, it's almost more about revenge, and getting his sisters back. And he also schools him about Martin Lannister, aka Cough Cough the future aged up Tommen, um, and all of that, which is kind of funny. But yeah, it's a good scene, and it sets up us to love the Blackfish, but to kind of be like meh to Edmure Tully. Um,
Yeah, and just so y'all know, the chat is having issues everywhere. Um, if anyone else in the chat is having, I think it's something to do with YouTube because it's going on my phone and on the computer as well. But go ahead, Ben. I just want to throw that out there.
Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, with this, I did enjoy this scene. It well, I forget the setup line, but Rob has the choice of, and I got a mill. Great, the mountain was able to flee back to Castlery Rock and hide with Tywin, and I have a mill. Thank you, Edmure. And he's finally acting kingly and like a leader. For the like all last season, he was very much second guessing himself. He was trying to be sure footed and know what he wanted to do, but he still wasn't ever had that self trust. This scene here, he's like, I know what I wanted to do. Patience. You just had to sit and wait. That was it. Sit and wait, hold the castle. But no, I got a mill, and it's just, he's acting very kingly here, which I appreciate is finally coming through.
Yeah, Edmure said it himself. He's a mad dog, and he was trying to lure him into a trap. That's what Rob was telling him. That was a very impactful scene. That's when Rob became a man in my eyes. Sure, he went to some battles. He was still a boy at that point. You make some really good points there, Ben. I do think this is his ascension into manhood, but it is too little too late, unfortunately.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, especially because even Blackfish is even like, this is your king. This isn't just your nephew. He's your king and all of this stuff. So like even then Rob has the Riverlands kind of behind him, not just because of probably because of who he is, but maybe because of his actions as well, which is kind of cool. But yeah, this whole Edmure thing sets up what happens obviously later on in this season, and kind of almost not necessarily the sacrifice, but what kind of Edmure has to do to marry. 1 second. The Frey daughter. The next scene for this is Catelyn alone with sorry, 1 second. The Blackfish and
Okay.
sorry, I have something in my throat.
It's okay.
I'll
help you out if you want.
Yeah, if you can for a second.
Yeah, no problem at all. So, Blackfish and the world's best mom are catching up. She's staring out the window. How many times? How long? And how many times have Bran and Rickon looked out for me? Not one, Cat. Not one fucking time have they looked for you, okay? That's all I got to say. right now. You go ahead and I don't want to get too angry with this. Go ahead, Ben.
No, you're fine. In fairness, this whole scene I kind of blanked on and started writing my notes for other scenes that were like right before him. Was just finishing notes on that scene on the cat and Blackfish. I know they kind of touch on Blackfish not even remembering what the problem between him and Hoster was, and that goes to show that you're still brothers. You still care about each other.
Did you
Family's
think they
family.
were gonna kiss when they locked eyes at the end? It was weird, right there, just for
Again,
just a second. Maybe that's why it's the Blackfish.
yeah.
I'm joking. I love the Blackfish. I don't want any trolls on Kenzie's channel.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, like I said, in fairness, I wasn't actually super paying attention to this scene as it was going on because it was just a cat whiny scene, and it was like, okay, I'm good. move along.
Judith sus. Okay, I'm sorry. I stand corrected. Judith is the best mom. Cat
Yes.
is a close second, but actually, I do like Judith more.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Catelyn. Oh my god.
Ben, if you
Sorry.
haven't seen the Vikings, I'm just gonna send you the small clip of where she killed her son, and
Okay.
it's the subdermal hematoma heard around the world.
Nice.
Yeah, she put. Yeah, Judith. My god. Yeah, she talks about how when she was a child as well that and Hoster did leave, she would look out the window, and I think it's more emotional on the fact that she doesn't get to do this anymore. The fact that she doesn't get to look out the window and cry for somebody, and that she kind of believes that the boys she'll never see them again. Which
What
is
was
very
that
true.
point? Didn't you make a point earlier that she always tries to do the right thing, but then when something good happens for her, she always goes back on the promise. Like with
Yeah.
John, with going back to Winterfell, with Jamie.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
There was that whole thing of how she was supposed to go to Winterfell, and then per Ned's request, and then doesn't do it. And there was probably a thing where she was supposed to go. I can't remember now because all the episodes are getting to me. But she was probably supposed to go to Winterfell and then doesn't because she thinks, oh, I can go back in a few days or whatever. She can go back at a later date, but obviously that doesn't work. And the fact that she's so emotional over this, it's like, yes, you should have been a parent to these kids years ago, or at least a year and a half ago, or something. At this point,
Ben, do you hold in your feelings that long?
Maybe a scotch.
Like as soon as she left, she should have just went back to Winterfell and at least been taken her son that she cares about so much to Riverrun, because she knows that would be like a safe place for them besides Winterfell. Because we know they stay here for like the rest of the season pretty much. So yeah, and plus she's got a good, what is it?
I mean, she should be in a black cell somewhere, honestly. But no, she's up here, got this beautiful view. And in the books, it's even worse.
Oh yeah. Well, I was actually gonna bring that up right now. I'm on my read through, but I'm doing character by character, and I'm on Catelyn, and I'm suffering through, getting through it, trying to get through these. I'm right to this point right now. We just had like the next scene where with Karstark kind of thing, but it's like great point. Yeah, she's a treasonous. She's as much treason as anybody else in this camp, but she did it for
The
love.
Greyjoy.
Yeah, I mean, she did it for love, so it's okay. No, she's a traitor.
Yeah.
By any definition of the word.
Yeah, by no right. This right here is another grave mistake by Rob. They see this. They see her not being locked up. Like, Karstark has already, him and Roose, they've been in a dark room together, I would say. And, they're talking. And he sees this. His sons have just been killed. He's fuming. He's a father. And, he's a little cavemanish, as are all Karstarks. But you can't really blame the man in this situation. He's having it being rubbed in his face, just because he's the King of the North's mommy, she's getting better treatment, treated differently, which that's what I mean. He goes back and forth on it. Rob will go back and forth with the punishment. Let her be a little bit and then bring her back, and it's just it's so hard to watch, especially now.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way, but it's like
She's kind of hard to like be like, really, especially after the last episode where she wants to wish an infant to die from the chicken pox, or die, wishing him to die. He gets chicken pox, and then wishes it that he survives. It's just like you wish upon chicken pox. Great mother, and great mother to two young kids, but. Remember, Osha is the best mother that they've ever had. Anyways.
oh yeah, don't Brian love Cat or something? Look, we got to get the stream together, guys. Y'all got to start talking about Cat.
Yeah, we
You
got
know,
to talk about Cat.
yeah, I think Brian is super triggered right now. I'm
Seriously,
loving it. I'm loving it. Go ahead, read them.
Brian. Seriously, the whole war is to save his father, and it was a segue to show his screw ups. Yeah.
I agree with that. They both are at folly here.
Oh yeah, and don't get me wrong. Rob takes very much after his mother in the line. Takes very much after his father in the honorable sense, but takes very much after his mother in the following his heart, sense over the logical, duty-filled, thing. So he's definitely a combination of both Ned and Catelyn. Unfortunately, so I don't know. And Rob he makes just as big of mistakes. He makes the biggest mistake in the world going for the girl from the show, going for Talisa. It sucks, but that's literally the whole hinge point. So I can't blame everything on Cat. The whole hinge point is Rob. You know what? Thinks with the wrong head.
Oh yeah, only 95% Cat. Honestly, no, not really. She doesn't get that much, but she.
No. I mean, she started the war. She's the reason the war started. Because she took Tyrion.
This is the thing with Cat. She knows she makes mistakes. She knows she's doing wrong. She never rectifies that. But she always talks about having this conscience. Like, Cersei doesn't give a shit. And I respect that. Cat just, I don't know if she actually, oh my God, pull that face up, Kenzie. There we go.
Yeah, this is her attempting a crying face for kids that she didn't actually give a shit about.
That's a politician right there that just got caught in the men's bathroom. I love my family, but
the only child that she ever cared about is the one that's keeping her free, which happens to be the oldest one. She may have cared about Sansa, but I feel like her favorite child happens to be Rob.
Don't you just feel so much sympathy for her right now?
And I'm gonna not disagree with you, but again, on the Cat read through I'm on it. It's I go back to the very second chapter where she's talking to Ned about taking the hand chip and all this, and he's like, "Well, I'll take the girls. They already fuse refinement. Sansa's gonna be queen. Blah blah blah, and Rickon can stay with you, but I'm taking Bran." And she's like, "No, not my Bran, not my sweetheart, dude. You have 5 other kids or 4 other kids. Fuck off. Don't have favorites."
Exactly.
That.
When you start to have multiple children, it's just like you can't pick a favorite, even if you want to.
Yeah, and how is it the 4th? Sorry, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, the one you probably had at, who knows?
Let's see. Arya reminded her of Jon. So you have that. You have Rickon, who just is a terror, and I think she just does not want to deal with him. Like, he's a terror because of her, because she's just the neglect, but he is a little wild beast. I mean, especially in the books. I can see why Bran's her favorite, but I don't know why. A mother really, I mean, honestly, you're going to favor maybe one child over the other, but you're going to pretty much love all your children equally. And she shows this, I don't know, she thinks about them at completely different times. It's like sometimes she seems to be thinking of just the girls. Sometimes she's thinking of the boys. Rarely is she thinking of everything at one time, it seems. If she is, she's not saying it. I don't I love to hate on her just because of how she portrays herself, and she wants to be pitied, but she, I'm not gonna, buy that. I'm not drinking that Kool-Aid. It's not happening for me. Um, like we said, Lady Stoneheart is a, a far better
Mother.
person morally than Kat. She stands by her convictions at least,
Yeah.
and that's what I respect about it. But no, this what's perfect about Catelyn. I do like her character in the story because her evolution into Lady Stoneheart in the books is beautiful. It is so poetic, uh,
Hmm.
and there's so many hints there throughout. But I'm done gushing for now because I've talked for like 20 minutes, and we're talking about Catelyn Tully. What the hell?
Yeah, I'm good to move on if everybody else
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. The scene that's kind of put with this is Talissa with Martin Lannister, who's talking about. If I can find it. I didn't get to relabel all the pictures. Um, and they're talking about like how um, the myths and the legends pretty much of Robb Stark and how he turns into a wolf at night and if he eats people and all of this stuff, which is kind of what transpires later on. Um, I think it was talked about earlier in like season 2 with like Arya and how she's like talks to Tywin about him. But yeah, it's like all of this stuff while she's bandaging him up, which almost in like 2 episodes or 3 episodes from now is kind of pointless because he ends up being murdered by Karstark. So it's like, I don't know. It's a quick scene. If there's any thoughts on that.
I have a question for Ben because maybe he knows this. It was
Okay.
okay scene, showing Talissa's kindness, I guess. It was
Mhm.
setting up your empathy for their death,
Yeah.
basically. Okay, so has anyone in a major TV series with all these awards ever acted two parts and died twice in a series? How many times has that happened, if ever? It's got to
Okay.
be some kind of record.
Two separate characters,
Two
and
separate characters
let's
and
not
separate
call
deaths.
and separate deaths. Let's not call like a soap opera where the twin brother
Soap
magically.
operas don't count. No, no,
Yeah.
no, no.
So give me a few minutes to think about that. But
Okay.
it is possible, but it's very 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 rare that you get that kind of thing. I would think. Oh, actually, I think I can say Law and Order SVU. I believe there's a character early on. She was a victim, got killed, and then came back as a detective or a lawyer or something like that. So, but I don't know if she died again. So that's a good, yeah. They might have
That
died and come back, but I don't know if they've died again. So I don't know, and that kind of goes into my note. And this right here is our first foray into resurrection because we hadn't met Barrick yet, we hadn't met any of them, but Willem all of a sudden dies in 2 episodes, and a year later he's fucking Tommen. So hey, we should have known from this point on resurrection's a thing in this show.
yeah.
Phrasing, Ben. Phrasing.
Yeah, the one question that I would have had is like, I guess this kid who's only been in maybe like 2 scenes impresses David and Dan so much that he's like, we can bring him back as old Tom, like a older Tommen, because obviously they had to phase out the actor who played the young Tommen, so it's kind of funny that they.
Yeah. And they probably
Yeah.
realized that the young Tommen role was they had the age of the actor was too young for what they wanted to actually do with them, so they figured they had to age him up. And this kid, he holds his own in this scene here with Talisa being able to talk to an adult female, and and who knows how he acted on set, and probably didn't impress him. He in his later scenes in season 5 and 6, he holds his own with the adult actors fairly well.
As we sit here and watch the adult Talissa female in the wild mingle with the children of the Lannister
But
lions.
this again brings Prudence to the whole is Talisa a spy because she's talking to Lannisters by herself with a Stark soldier, but he's probably, sworn to secrecy or something because she is technically the queen, even though she's not labeled as the queen. She technically could be considered the queen in the North.
I'll
It's
just
kind
chalk
of
this one up to setting up his death. But I still think
mm,
she's a spy.
she's a spy. And now when there's more and more scenes, especially like the scene with Tywin, which we can talk about because there's no more Rob or company scenes after this. It's all other people's scenes. So, yeah, we can talk about these lovely people here in this. So we have the small council meets with Tywin, including the children, Cersei and Tyrion. Tyrion is made Master of Coin, while Baelish is supposed to marry Lysa Arryn. And they talk about how everybody else seems to know where Jaime Lannister is, except for his daddy, and he is upset. Let's
Daddy.
talk about this.
Yeah. Who's to say what the real head of the table is? It's just one end of the table or the other. So Tyrion just took the other head. I like that, and then Varys gives him this like, "You cheeky motherfucker" look. Like, well played. I enjoyed the gamesmanship of Cersei and Tyrion here because Tyrion just doesn't give a fuck. He's like, "You tried to have me killed. He doesn't care if I die. I'm just here for the shits and giggles. Where's the wine?"
Yeah, intimate, lovely table. I enjoy the setting. It's perfect. You said everything you need to. That Varys's little guffaw, and then you have just Littlefinger's. Oh my gosh, he was extra creepy in this scene. I think he wants to make love to Tywin. You know, no judging Charles Dance. He's a good-looking old man, but he was getting a little intimate. Oh, thank you, sir. The honor's all mine. It was getting a little weird there.
Yeah.
But we see Tyrion be made Master of Coin. I think this was a good decision by Tywin. And he also kind of thinks it's a slap in the face to Tyrion. I guess given that it was Littlefinger's job to begin with. I don't know. Go ahead with y'all's thoughts. I don't want to talk about the whole scene myself.
No, it's also interesting that we get to find out the true nature of what Littlefinger is going to be up to and being sent to the Vale, because this is the first we hear about this and he plays up the whole, oh yeah, my relationship with her and blah blah blah, because we already heard him talk about his relationship with Kat and all that, where he took both of their womanhoods or maidenheads and everything, and so he gets to go back and finish the job and all that. And you can tell Varys and Tyrion are like, dude, you're a tool. Just shut up and go. Just be done.
Yeah, but I think the
she's
one
had
where it's
certain
like
affection for me since I was a child.
the one with Catelyn though is because it's Lysa who makes Baelish think that it is Catelyn, but it's actually him when he's extremely drunk. If I remember, that's when he starts gloating that he's done the deed with Catelyn. But I'm surprised that Ned had 5 children with her because she's annoying as hell. But this scene is really funny because not much dialogue is really.
It is duty.
Yeah. Not much. Sorry, guys, for the coughing. There's not much dialogue that really happens with Tyrion and Cersei in this scene, like just in general, not just between each other, but in general, because like when Cersei like takes the chair and moves it and sits it right beside Tywin, you know that this is a power grab, because originally, all the chairs were on one side of the table. So when they start moving all the chairs, it's like, the kids can move all the chairs. But the funny thing is when they all sit together, just the 3 of them again, I think it's the scene where Tywin tells them who they're supposed to marry next, which will really funny. But also Tyrion, when he's just playing with the chair because he's literally sitting right where he's next to, and he just like keeps making all the noise and sits. It's really funny. But Tywin is like, you know, like you have all of these spiders. You have all of these little birds and spies, and yet you can't find out where my son is. Like him getting mad at his small council is kind of funny. Yeah, Tywin, Charles Dance, awesome scene. The next scene that's with, I guess, in King's Landing, happens happens to be with Tyrion first day on the job as Master of Coin, going to visit, if I can get the picture, or a picture that represented.
A safe, a YouTube friendly one.
Yeah. Going to the brothels to find out where Littlefinger stashes all of his. Where'd it go? Where Littlefinger stashes all of his books, and for the Master of Coin. And we obviously have Roz, who's doing her best at to subtly seducing Podrick, which
Subtly?
doesn't work. She doesn't overtly, like, compared to her times with Varys or other people. It's more tame, and they talk about like how investing in different things and how to manage money with Tyrion. And then Tyrion decides that he wants to treat Podrick with some time by himself in and not be off. I guess you could say off duty, and enjoy laying with a woman for the first time. But he doesn't just give him one; he gives him three. And if I can find the appropriate picture, that would be very helpful. And gives them three people. And
There it is. I've been starting to sweat a little bit, so I wanted to go ahead and get it out and talk about the scene.
Oh no, I'm good.
I,
I'm just a couple funny lines in here. I was gonna see if we are going on to the next part of it too, because I literally have the entire thing typed out.
The entire
I had to throw that at you, man.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, we'll talk about the entire brothel whole scene.
Yeah. So in the brothel, because first we get the Tyrion with Littlefinger's like, well, it's not about creating the money. It's just once you look at it as just numbers and it just moving. And Tyrion's already seeing the wheels. He's like, you're fucking us over. Just by you telling me this right now, I already know you are completely screwing us over on the money. You're, borrowing, you're doing some shady crap that is going to get us all screwed. But I did like the little line in there, the nod to Germ, the shot of Germ. Kayla here is one of only 4 women that can perform the Myronese knot. It's like, well played. I like that little slip into that because, any book reader and everything, we all know about the Myronese knot and everything. And it's just a funny way to kind of give a backhanded compliment to the creator.
Mm-hmm.
And so the tripod is born, is my other note.
Yeah. This is the most, I guess you could say, YouTube friendly out of all of the pictures for once the Beyond the Curtain happens. Yeah, my only real thought besides the other part of this is Podrick. He's only had one it wasn't even on screen sex scene, but it was on screen enough where you could think about what happened, but we never get the answer to it. I know probably a lot of people want to know what happened. The other actors know what happened, just not the audience, which is kind of funny. Maybe he gets his tripod project on again in season 8. Who knows? That would be fun. Because, his project. But it's funny.
I'll go back a little bit to all the damn ledgers that Littlefinger has. Now we see why he doesn't have sex. He doesn't have time. He's always writing. I don't know how long it would take, but that's a lot of ledgers by Lord Twatbeard, according to Bronn. And, well, in this we do find out what's happening, right? Or is that later?
About what?
It's the very next scene.
Oh, okay. I'll talk about the other stuff first. So I got Pod gets a cookie, or 3. And it's well deserved for what he did. I mean, he saved Tyrion's life. It's the least he could do. It's kind of not expected, but as a man, especially in this world, that's a common thing to be rewarded with.
Mm-hmm.
And he got a fantastic reward for free. For free.
Yes. And they probably, they obviously did enjoy it. If you want to talk about the the other little part of this sequence, I guess, because it's right after the other.
Hey, go ahead, Johnny.
Oh, the next part?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Oh, I got lost in my own thoughts. Yeah, so Littlefinger's borrowing money. Bronn doesn't understand this concept, but we find out that Littlefinger owes Casterly Rock millions, owes 10 millions, not Littlefinger, the Crown owes millions to Casterly Rock and tens of millions
Mhm.
to the Iron Bank. They didn't specify in this episode, and I can't remember what it was later. Um, it's it's funny how Bronn is, what would you do if I didn't pay you back? Well, you have to. Well, what would you do? I don't know.
Yeah, that's why I won't lend you. That's why I won't lend you money. Smart man.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and it because I this is honestly Luke from Drinks hates this scene or doesn't like the whole Podrick, Pod the horse layer thing. You think it's overplayed. I think it's hilarious. It's one of my favorite scenes in the entire series, and so I had to type out the whole thing. Does he look like he has a little Johnson except the less practically skipping? You were gone a long time. I trust you got your money's worth, or should I say my money's worth? Podrick places the satchel down. It was a gift, Podrick. There's more than I give you in a year. He's a squire. You don't pay him. Oh, well, there's much more than I give you in a year. They wouldn't take it, my lord. Maybe they're trying to curry some favor. Have you ever known a whore not to take to go turn down gold? They're happy enough when I'd give it to them. True. What'd you tell them? I didn't tell them anything. What'd you do to them? Lots of things. And they seem to enjoy these things? Yes, my lord. Of course they seem like it. They're paid to like it, but they weren't paid. What are you saying? These ladies enjoyed him so much that they gave him time for free? Is that what you're telling us? Sit down, Pod. We're going to need details. Copious details. Sorry.
Copious detail.
It's like I said, one of my favorite scenes because just it is a great break of levity in this whole series of, they have funny lines and funny bits here and there, but this whole scene is dictated just to make the audience laugh, and I like that. Sometimes you need that in a show like this.
It's true, and he doesn't also have to be tripodric to accomplish that feat. I won't get into detail about what differences in anatomy can make for certain things. Anyways, it could just boil down to shape. I'll just leave it at that. It doesn't necessarily have to be an infant's arm, So, other than that, it was the scene was more raunchy than what I just said, but I'll leave it there. I'm sorry.
No, it's well, you're talking about going to a brothel and not the whores not wanting to be paid. So there's something must have happened besides him going, "Hi, nice to meet you," for them to be like, "Yeah, don't pay us." The next, if we're going in order, the next scene that we have is Locke and Jamie and Brienne, and they talk about pretty much what's going to happen once they make camp at night, and if the thing will work, and how pretty much she will be raped, and that even though she is a woman, there's not that much she can do. Even though she's a strong woman, there's not that much she can do, and that he's kind of sad that his name holds a lot more weight than hers does. But in the last scene in this episode is where we see them again. He kind of uses that to save her in a sense. Which is nice. Because they're both kind of short-ish scenes. So, in the last scene is when their scene is making camp, and Brienne is basically taken out and unchained to be raped, and Jamie has a conversation with Locke saying she's from Tarth and explains what Tarth is famous for, and it's the scene where Jamie gets his hand chopped off after. So let's talk about Jamie and Brienne and their sort of epic duo-ness. Whoever wants to go first.
Well, you gotta love the horse banner. They were making the beast with two fronts on the horse. You know, it was it was great. She was talking about how I'm a woman and I still was beating you, and he was talking about I'm half starved and was in a dungeon, frail, and have manacles on, and he's got a point, but they both have a point. Uh, you can feel this. You could cut the sexual tension with a knife
Mhm.
already. I think Jamie's been enamored with her for a couple of episodes now, just because he's never met a woman like her. He's never met a person that could really equal him, and Brienne almost does, right?
Hmm.
And he sees a lot of what he wants to be in her, and that's why he saves her. I think it's really cool. I'll let you throw in some stuff there, so I don't say everything.
I just have a quip of hard truths are hard for Brienne and so are Locksmen. You know, it's hard for her to hear, but they're hard for her too. So it's good of him to actually give her the advice he does because he's seen it. He has seen this happen firsthand to women in encampments. Doesn't matter how strong, how tough you are, it's going to happen. Either you're going to get like he even says, I would get killed. You know, if it was me. If you don't want to die, just let him go because you're either going to die or you're going to get raped. There's no in between. There's no other option. And it's a hard truth for her to hear that, but it's what she needed to hear because she only came up in Renly's camp. Yeah, and we learn later of what Renly's camp did to her, being assholes and having the competition, but she never had that fear
Mhm.
of physical attack from any of them. Now she's in a
Yeah.
quote unquote real life situation where it's going to happen.
Well, any other chance she'd have a opportunity to defend herself as
Yeah.
well. Um, yeah,
Mhm.
she's in the real world now.
Yeah.
Very reminiscent of Duncan Natal, who,
Mhm.
you know, supposedly she's maybe related to. Hmm?
God
Maybe
or
seems
grandniece or
like it.
something. Yeah.
It would be
Something like
fitting.
that.
Uh, you know, what do you want to talk about? Jamie losing that hand.
Yeah, I can talk about that. I'll
Throw
pull up
that
the
out.
picture.
Uh, the Sapphire Owls. It seems like Locke. I don't know if he. I guess he took it hook, line, and sinker. Especially, I don't know if you would know everything about the house, especially Locke. And as we talked about in the last episode, if you, was it last Wednesday? We talked about Vargo Hope.
I
Kind
think
of,
so.
I do wish he was there, but I do like how they tied this in. Uh, it's set up well. The Boltons, everything is pretty fitting for the brave companions, which would have been cool to have in the show, but I don't know if that would have how well that would have translated. Ooh, that
Yeah,
would have been
because
brutal.
for a one off, for a one or two off episode kind of thing, it's we get it later on, but we have so many people right now that you have to follow. Getting a one or two person episode, fill in. Yeah, I do miss the Sapphire. Where are the Sapphire? That's the only thing I wanted besides everything else. But besides that, Vargo Hoth, there's nothing that he really brings to it that Locke can't fill. So I'm
Hey, you
okay with the
said
change.
Germ confirmed the
The
Brienne
Dunk,
thing. Yeah.
yeah, Brandon Dunk, yeah. But yeah, so I mean, I knew it was coming because I'd read the books by this point of the hand, but I didn't think it was coming here. Uh, I thought it was a little. It was sooner than I had expected. So when he gets pushed down, I'm like, okay, how are they gonna get out of this? Okay, how's he gonna lose his hand? Oh wait, this is it. And it just comes
Mhm.
down. It's like, it was a well shot because normally when they do the beheadings and all that, they cut away. They don't show anything. Nope, they had full wrist separation, tendons. It was
Where's
Yeah.
the bird? I thought they were bringing the roasted fowl over. They didn't bring the roasted fowl over with the carving knife. They just brought the carving knife.
yeah.
Yeah.
Could
Yeah.
have at least
Definitely.
fed him afterwards. I don't know. I had to throw that in.
Yeah,
That
and
was
he's
a hell of a carving
bleeding.
knife too. Um,
Mhm.
wonder what they're carving, but they do flay men, so that may be something he uses to flay. That makes sense. And it makes sense why he did it. You know, Locke's
Mhm.
lowborn, had to do the dirty work to rise as high as he is, which is not very high anyway.
Mhm.
And Jamie's rubbing all his learned book stuff in his face, which goes back to Jamie. may end up writing the White Book himself as well. There's I got it between Jamie and Brienne writing in the White Book. I'm pretty sure the Hound will never do that. I don't think the Hound can write, but that's just me. Uh, his house didn't seem like he'd be the writing type. Um, this, yeah, it's humbling for Jamie, and it's what he needs as a person, honestly. If he wants to be what he wants to be, this is what he needed, even though he doesn't know it at this point, because all he's ever been is the best at everything. He hasn't really ever had a challenge. He's gotten everything he's wanted. And well, he's had to do horrible things, so he just accepted it and took the moniker of the bad guy and went with it and never really looked back, even though he did have remorse, seemingly. It doesn't seem to happen as much till after the hand, till he has time to think about it, till he can't do what he loves anymore.
Yeah, the one thing he's good at, and he
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah, I think it's after they get to Harrenhal where he with Brienne. So I guess it would be episode 8. I'm assuming of this season where he does open up the most and in a pretty vulnerable situation. He's naked in the bath with Brienne and he talks about like his past and stuff. So this, for a lot of people, I think is oh, it's a scene where it's like you kind of I don't know what's the word. Um, he really starts to be a good person, but then being a good person kind of just is taken away because you could almost read the situation of like, hey, well, we didn't get to do what we wanted, which was to take Bran, but so now we'll just take something from you instead, almost, along with the whole thing of how Jamie can use my father and everything will be rectified, which Locke points out. And in the end, it doesn't happen because his hand's chopped off, and that's how the
Also, I wanted to
huh?
throw out there before we, uh,
What?
in the side chat, Brian had a question about this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you'll see what I wrote as well.
1 second to pull it back up.
Yeah, and just a quick note: it's 3-6 is the bass scene.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Yep.
So it's, do you think Jamie meant his threat to Edmure about destroying River Run and killing everyone? Probably if he stayed. Oh God, on camera. Probably if he had stayed with Cersei in the end, and burning River Run and taking River Run and killing launching his child into River Run and all of that stuff. Like, it could have been just a scare tactic, but I feel like if he had stayed with Cersei and had gone Mad King-ish, like they were supposed to be Mad Kings, their father, like if he went crazy, maybe. But I think it was just like a threat to scare him ultimately, because has power, yes, or whatever power he has. I don't know. Can't give a direct answer.
Well, yeah, and earlier in that episode and everything, he was playing up to the phrase of if you make a threat, you have to follow through on it. Like if you open your mouth again, I'm going to slap you. Smack, and he did that right in front of Edmure, and he's like, I will launch your child into the wall. So Jamie's already proven somewhat, you make a threat, you have to follow through on it. So I think personally, I think he would have, even though because my joke I had when we were covering that, but his arc is redemption, pause, redemption, pause, redemption, pause, because he doesn't know where his arc is supposed to go and what he's supposed to end up doing. So he's just going to do what he feels he needs, like he says, to get back to Cat or to Cersei. So I think honestly he would send the kid.
Yeah, like he would do it. It's just obviously he hadn't either done it yet or will never do it. It's just like one of those things where it's like he would have most likely done it. It's just didn't have the opportunity to. That was kind of funny. So that's it with Jamie and Brienne. So the next scene is the Brotherhood without banners, aka Thoros, meets with Gendry to discuss armor, and Arya sees the Hound, I guess, for um, a bit before he's taken away, and they talk about how she pretty much has to stay with them to be safe in the woods. And then we also get Hot Pie giving Arya some direwolf shaped, what will become direwolf shaped bread. It's just not at its peak form right now, but it's getting there. And if I can pull up a picture.
Can I just
Yeah,
give
it's
us?
not.
Oh, go
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
I just want to give a shout out to Ange. Um, you, you have you're an
What?
ugly fucker. I don't want to look at you. When he was talking about why I had to put the hood on the hound's face, and then he went ahead and
Oh,
just knocked his head right into the top beam of the cart. Oh, sorry.
I remember. And then obviously Popeye stays behind, and Gendry and Arya continue on their adventure. So, what do you think about Hot Pie and his bread making skills and all of the stuff that corresponds in this scene?
Yeah, I'm glad you put that up. You asked me about Hot Pie because my note here is it's a cute scene, but does anybody realize Hot Pie was basically sold into slavery? He goes, yeah, the innkeep, the Thoris and everything said they owed the innkeep money, so I'm just kind of gonna hang back here to, help her out. Dude, I mean, it's free, the kingdoms, slave for, free cities or whatever in the kingdoms, but nope, he just got sold into slavery to work as a baker and make crappy, asbestos looking wolf bread. Uh, but it's cute scene, like I said, between those two, and I liked her looking back scene. It's actually really good. It's sweet with that. You get Thoros and Gendry at the beginning of Gendry, helping him with his armor and kind of showing his skills as as an armorer and a blacksmith. So you kind of see the build and everything, but it's a scene that needed to be done, but probably could have held off for one more episode. Kind of tight. I don't know. These 30-second, minute long scenes always kind of annoy me from time to time.
Yeah.
Well, there was a little bit of sawdust in that bread just because they got to stretch it out. It's
Right.
hard times. War of the Five Kings, all that shit.
Yeah.
Hey, if you want me to talk about the scene a little more,
Yeah.
Kenzie, I will. I will. No, this is good. Gendry's still being a smith. Has some nice little dented work. I can make it nice for you if I had a nice forge. It's okay. It just needs to stop the arrows or whatever. I felt like this was setting up Gendry for more than just running from Marathon. What was it? Thermopylae to Athens? Or no,
Something
Thermopylae to
like that.
Marathon. Yelling Nike, almost dying. You know, maybe in season 8 we're gonna see more of Gendry do something, but I feel like they're not gonna do it right because Tobo Mott didn't remake the Valyrian steel swords, right? In the show. In the books he did. In the show,
Oh, they brought
Tywin said he
somebody from
brought
a
someone
shy.
else.
Yeah, I brought somebody from a shy that can work it. You're right. Yeah.
So that's why it's like, what is Gendry there for besides oh, please don't let him be with Arya because they have not set that up at all. It's not
Or,
there. If they make this
or,
really rushed love story, oh my goodness. Anyways,
or the worst one is if they push her into the whole not prophecy, but the whole pushing Gendry to marry Sansa instead. Like that's almost even like really you're gonna push on a romance. It's like almost like her being pushed to marry like Podrick or something just to fit some sort of weird hole. Pun intended,
well,
not intended.
Gendry. Oh, go ahead. Gendry will get Storm's End. I don't think he had the hammer for no reason. even though he never really wielded it except to bash some fermented crab out of two gold cloaks' faces. Um, yeah, I do think that's the main thing he's being set up for because there really is no heir to Storm's End in the show anyway.
No. Yeah, there's it's one of those weird scenes, but yeah, I feel like he was brought back ultimately for a reason in the show, and it can't be just to marry a Stark girl because then that turns into a romantic comedy thing. Anyway, um, that's I think the only Arya scene for this episode.
Mm-hmm.
The next scene we can talk about is
All black and brown and covered in hair. The bear, and the maiden fair. What?
the next scene we can talk about is Tormund and Mance and John and Egret and um what's his face?
Orel.
Yeah, Orel, where they come upon the spiral, and pretty much in this Mance pretty much devises a plan to have the remaining four of them go with a small group to attack the wall, and man says his signal will be the biggest fire the North has ever seen. And then this scene is spliced with the rest of the Night's Watch, mostly Sam and baby Sam's birth. So, anyways, let's go ahead and talk about this part of the episode.
Yeah, so my first thought on this one is that's logistically a great plan. Castle Black is not defended from the south. Now, in the show, they have the gate and everything like that, but book-wise, there's no gate. There's no wall on that south side. So logistically, this is a smart fucking plan. Why has it never been done before? It's been proven that the, weldings can clear the wall. Why not clear the wall and come get them from the south? It just always one that kind of stuck with me after reading the books. I was like, why has nobody ever tried that before? But before that part, when they walk up on this scene here, Tormund's like, "Oh, always the artists, aren't they? Having to do the sculptures and the playings." So that's telling that they know what they're dealing with. And obviously we know that they know because they've talked about it, but that's just a reaffirmation of this isn't surprising to them. This isn't shocking to the wildlings. I'm sure this is probably shocking to John. He's holding it fairly well, but these are his brothers, first of all, or his brother's horses. And secondly, it's, he's never seen anything like this apart from one one quote unquote live wild, or one live other attacking him at the wall. That's all he's seen, and one taking a baby away. That's it. So it's him holding steady on his just demeanor is actually pretty impressive here for, or just Harrington's a bad actor and didn't have that thought process go through his head.
Oh, he's great. Didn't you see Pompeii? No, this kind of harkens back to, I don't know. Did they know what they wanted to do with this? Because I feel like this is also kind of an infinity symbol in a sense. The spiral represents a door to another world. It also looks like where the Night King was made, right? Where the weirwood tree was split in half, and you have the stones in the exact kind of circle. So we need to find out more about what happened there because the spiral keeps coming up. It comes up in season 7 as well. Why? So the last hero had to go beyond the wall with his companions. Where were they going? Or were they going there? That's the question. I think they may need to go back to the spot of where the curse was happened or where the spell was forged somehow. Now, be this Bran warging there, like I think JR was saying the other day on the Weir Net. I don't know I can't remember what it was called, but
the Weir Realm.
The Weir Realm. There's gonna be like an astral plane fight with Bran and the Night King. Like when the Night King touched Bran in the vision, it kind of makes sense to me that they could duel it out there because Bran can walk and do whatever. If the Night King can touch him, he should be able to touch the Night King. So maybe he'll have to go back there. And what if the Night King's consciousness is stuck at that weirwood tree? This just popped in my head. But I know it's a broken, like dead weirwood, supposedly. It looks like lightning struck it, but there seems to be something important there. Now, some people say it also represents the Isle of Faces, which is possible, but that it's literally when you see where the Night King was made, you see that spiral symbol, and that's where Bran got touched. Um, so I don't know. Now that I'm talking it out in my head, it's kind of adding up. Still tinfoil, but whatever.
Yeah, yeah, it's possible because a lot of people think they have to go south to the neck and to the God's Eye to eradicate the Night King. I don't know if they would do it in the show, but they could probably try and do it in the books instead, because they're pushing south now. It'd be unless it's a complete thing where like they like, haha, let's outsmart the Night King and let's go back to where where he came from, like that kind of thing. But good thought. Um, my my kind of only like real note on this is this most definitely sets up episode 5 of this season where they obviously do the climb, and John obviously has special sexy fun times with Egret because of being one of the only few people in the climbing party. So this just sets up, and as well this sets up John's real bromance with Tormund, which is really fun. Yeah. The the scene that kind of is paired with this one, because they're beyond the wall, if is the Sam scene after this. But any more thoughts on this scene before we talk about Craster and his crazy beliefs that he is divine, pretty much, like someone else we know? Um, yes, no, maybe so.
Oh, what? What?
Like if there's another,
Is his
if
name
there's any
Joe?
more thing on,
I'm
well,
good
it's
on
like, yeah.
fist. I'm good on
I
the
meant
fist.
Ivar like being divine and like all of that. And so basically Sam, Mormont, and the rest, the survivors, pretty much go to Craster's to seek refuge. And throughout their time, they hear a woman screaming, and screaming because of the fact that she's giving birth. And it's been a few months, um, and which means that it had to be Gilly was the one that was giving birth. And Sam seems very intrigued to watch Gilly have baby Sam. Let's talk about this. If I can find the picture,
Oh, I
like
mean,
a PG
Craster's a
13.
godly man.
Oh yes, and Crasher thinks he's a godly man.
That's why he helped him, but it seemed to me Mormont had to put his hand on his hilt to get in there. So, we've seen his gods. We know what he is. The Black Blood. I, I don't know. I wonder about him. I really hate Craster. I guess you're supposed to, but he actually wants to eat a little bit of Sam. So, uh, I see you, Ben.
Yeah. Oh no, you're good. No, I agree. It's so he admits to not fearing what's out there and what's coming for everybody else because he prays to his gods. He's like, my gods are different than yours, and my gods are better than yours. So that's what he considers the others and the whites as that's his gods, and it's just kind of one of those like that's just fucked in all sorts of different ways. But I could be wrong about this, but I think this is the first time we actually get a sight of Carl fucking Tanner as well, the swordsman from Jin fucking Alley, because we get a couple shots of him as they're talking to Craster's keep there, and I thought he was just a one-off character, like a when they went back on it, but now it's actually the same actor. He's there already with it, so. It was an interesting catch that I had seen that I'd never really noticed before.
Yeah, that he hides there very well. Hides in plain sight.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Let's see you can.
There. And then it's just the fact that Crasher's like, ha ha, you've come back, kind of thing. It's after what had happened before, it's kind of funny. And well, we know ultimately what happens next episode with at Crasher's Keep. So it's kind
Don't
of a
spoil
sad.
me. I've never seen it.
What?
I've never seen the episode. I've never seen the episode. Don't spoil me, please.
Well, I'll just say that it's rough times up in up near Crasher's, but the one thing too is also now Sam has his stepson, and that's been introduced, and the fact that Sam is
You
just
can
like
never
stare,
unsee that.
yeah, the fact that he is staring at her while she's in one of the most vulnerable positions you can ever be in, as a woman, and he, I guess, after realizing what the baby is, realizes the gravity of the situation, and yeah, but comes credence to, will Sam know how to deliver a baby if he needs to? He did say he read it in a book, but a book's only good for theoretical stuff. Would he be practical in this situation? Just by a lot of things. Who knows?
Example, the grayscale.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least with this one, he's read it and now he's seen it. So, you know,
Yeah.
he's a master now, or a maester, if you will.
Yeah. So now it comes credence to who's like his has been the baby talk about how to deliver a baby. Could he be one of the people that has to deliver a baby next season, aka the magical baby, aka the John and Danny baby?
Yeah.
Who knows?
I mean, it's a Chekhov's gun kind of thing, set up 4 or 5 seasons in advance, but it was mentioned. So if you don't use it,
Yeah, because it's a thing that it's mentioned to John, like because it's in season 2, I think, when John asks him, it's like, who's gonna deliver her baby? You, and he's like, well, I read it in a book, so who knows? That'd be kind of funny. It's like, well, brother, I delivered your baby, and I saw a lot of things like that. Just be like a real severe bonding, even
it had
extreme where
it had the
ick
wings of
bonding
a
moment.
bat and the tail of a.
It had like one black eye and one like purple eye. I don't know.
Tyrion?
Yeah, like Tyrion. Hold on.
Demon monkey.
You didn't like me, but yeah, I feel like because of this scene, it sets up really how much Sam cares for Gilly, even more now, and baby Sam, especially in the later episodes. But yeah,
He
poor
has this
Sam.
weird. He's drawn to her, for sure. I think
What if
it's.
What if Gilly has some magic about her besides the fact that she's a girl that can talk to Sam?
Well,
Like
I
has
mean, Sam's
like a
definitely being warged by Bloodraven. Just like everyone else. Just a little bit to influence decisions.
yeah,
Hashtag Bloodraven conspiracy.
yeah, that's pretty much it. If I'm from Beyond the Wall, if I have no other thoughts, because after this is Theon and Ramsey, and it, it's not going so hot with Theon for a minute still, and then he gets told to run away, but being after running away, he gets captured again. So it was you get 5 minutes of what is it, an hour of daylight a day, is there something at jail at some or some jails. So he got his 1 hour a day of daylight before he got brought back, um, which is kind of funny. And yeah,
I don't think coaches say it anymore, but back in the day when coaches could be abusive, there was this old phrase, get your dick in the dirt. This gives a whole new meaning to that. I'll
Right.
let you go.
No, absolutely. My only note with this is, damn, that little bastard's got some skills with the bow. Maybe people need to learn to start zigzagging when he's around.
Did you see the correlation here with how he was saved like he saved Bran? And these mind games, you see the
Yeah,
setup with Ramsey so good. Your sister's waiting for you.
yeah. Your sister would go right east, and here's the thing: Iron Islands are to the west. So why would she be east? Why would because he's riding to the sunrise to the fucking sunrise. So when the sun's coming up, sun's at his back, and Ramsey's got a better targeting.
Theon's so stupid he's never looked at a star. He doesn't even know what a star is.
True.
Hmm.
True, but I'm also saying like he's just that clever. He's like, yeah, right into the fucking sunrise. So when I come up behind, I have targets to use, and everything like that. It's just what we know now. It makes you feel like you know, oh shit, this is so well played. But back then, on first
Okay.
watch through, you're like, the fuck is going on? Who is this guy? You're like, this dude's kind of badass. I want to know more about him.
And then you
Yeah.
regret that decision immediately.
Not at all. True Lord of the North.
Oh yeah, I forgot you named your kid Ramsey.
Baby Ramsey.
Baby Ramsey.
It
Um,
puts the lotion on the skin. It rubs it in. He's got lampshades made of human skin in his living room. Ben will show him off one day.
yeah. Yeah. It just also shows that Ramsey does like a lot of torture, but he just hides it very well. But we find out more about his torture in the coming episodes and the coming seasons, actually, which is kind of a sad thing. But he plays the nice card pretty well for 5 minutes when he's like, "Take my hand," thing on.
He's very
Um,
gallant, as Sansa would say.
My lord,
uh,
I want to help you, my lord. Come here, my lord. Hold on, let me get the annoying. My lord, I want to help you.
mhm. Yeah,
It was the
just
priceless soldier. You little bastard. Took
yeah,
her right
one
through the heart.
soldier. That one soldier. Oh man. Um, at that point, you don't know where the arrows are coming from. It's just like it's like just kill me after you've been shot. Um, but yeah, they're very quick scenes for Theon, and the next quick scene I guess we'll talk about is this couple of yahoos, um, Mel and Stannis. And Stannis wants to have another baby, but Mel's like, "Nah, fam, not today." And
You can't handle this, bro.
you you can't handle this, and your fires are too low, my king. And she says that she'll be back. So obviously we know where she's going. She's going to Westeros to stumble upon the Brotherhood without banners and capture Gendry and bring it back. But yeah, he wants another shadow baby before she leaves, and she's like, "Nah." Would have been funny if it was like a scene, kind of like John and Egert was like right here in the muck, but like right here in the sand. Like would have been even funnier. But that's my kind of quick quip on that scene. Hey, what's your thoughts on these two?
Um, ugh, that's legit my thought on this scene. It's so annoying. Like Stannis in the show, it's been gone over and over and over again how much the show screwed up his character. I'm not a big Stannis book fan. There's plenty of stuff in the books that I'm just like, he just I don't mind him. I'm not a huge diehard Stannis fan, but show wise, this scene right here is where it's like, what the fuck, dude? Show wise, you have just gone from a badass, killer on the Blackwater. Yeah, you lost the battle, but you got pulled out of the fight. You were forced to leave, and now you're just this pussy whipped, little bitch that's like, I want you, I need you, I need a baby. It's like, no, just stop. It just very annoying. Like they're emasculating a character who doesn't need it and I don't know the purposes of doing that for the show. I never understood it.
I don't think Stannis has ever heard a woman moan. I don't think Stannis has ever did anything but his duty. And then he doesn't. Yeah, he lusts for her, but in my opinion, he's lusting more for power. He wants them Thackers dead. And I think it's pretty awesome how she teases him and can manipulate him here. It shows his one true weakness, which it pretty much is. As far as what he's trying to accomplish in his life, it's his one true weakness. As a person, he has many weaknesses. That's not what I mean. Uh, I thought it was simple. I do think they should have gave us another Shadow Baby to see his life drained a little more. To it would accentuate more of why he burned Shireen and the life. It kind of sucks his
Hmm.
soul from him. He becomes less himself, a lot like Dondarrion, a lot like John. So it literally takes his life force. And yeah, like you said, they screwed the pooch on Stannis. Stannis is a very interesting character, and this is the first time we've said that word tonight, so you have to take a huge shot. Um,
Oh,
and yeah, I don't like him. I don't hate him. But man, he carries that storyline and he makes some intriguing decisions that just make you like, oh God, I know dickheads like this, So I
Yeah,
did
and
like the scene. It was okay. It was kind of, a little gaggerific, but
your take on it, I think if they would have led to later on having that second Shadow Baby, it wouldn't the scene wouldn't affect me as the gaggerificness of it, but it doesn't lead anywhere, and so it's just like okay, yeah. But I see where you're going. I would have liked that storyline that you put up, draining his life force. That would have made a lot of sense.
yeah. There's a yeah. Then it comes credence to if they had a second Shadow Baby. Um, who would have that one killed? Would have it killed Joffrey or somebody else?
Well,
Because
book wise, it does kill the Lord of Storm's End is who the second baby does.
yeah,
But yeah, show wise, I don't know.
I don't know because the one was to kill the first one killed Renly, so to be someone somewhat important or to get closer. Um, Same thing we could talk about later if Mel wanted to have a if it was just seducing or if it was a shadow baby with John who would like what would have happened there. Um, yeah, this scene's just kind of cringe. Um, it's funny because she's leaving and she's just like, "I'll be back," and it's like, "Don't go." Um, and when she comes back, it's kind of funny because she brings somebody else. But yeah, Stannis, like you said, Ben, uh, wants it, but she's like, "Nah, fam, not today." It's funny. Um, and talking about it in a quick scene, the last scene we have is Danny and basically her pretty much setting up buying the Unsullied and talking to Barristan and Jorah about um, the Unsullied. And they also mention Rhaegar, and it's one of the times where there's an opposing perspective on Rhaegar, um, which is kind of cool. And yeah, let's talk about this one and what she's been up to, which is a lot, but also nothing at the same time. Whoever wants to go first. I've, I don't.
oop. Yeah, so here is this where this isn't where she's walking? No, she's
Yeah,
walking
she
with
is.
them through the
I just
slave,
have to grab the picture. She is. I just grab the picture.
and we find out that they they're just waiting to die basically, and they're accepting their fate. It's very painful. We hear from Missandei later. Is it later or earlier that there are no
Later, there's no masters in the afterlife.
yeah, and it's very heartbreaking. But then you see Danny's saving them, but she doesn't save them and free them. She needs them for her army. And I mean, what's the end goal here? She is debating it, but now she's decided. And what, are you going to free them once you have your throne, or do you still want them to serve you? I it's slavery just by a different name. Just because you
Mm,
treat them better doesn't mean it isn't slavery. It isn't a form of bondage. This is where I think she starts to falter. To her credit, she does ponder on this a lot, and also the Rhaegar thing. Barristan, I think, makes a great point. The love of the people. He had their heart. Maybe he didn't win the war, but that doesn't mean he wouldn't have been a great king or a great ruler.
Yeah, but then Jorah has the great line comeback. Rhaegar fought valiantly. Rhaegar fought nobly. Rhaegar died.
We know the best person
mm,
doesn't always win, though.
Exactly.
mm,
And so my note to this is, in this instance, both advisors actually gave sound advice. They both had valid points. And like you're saying, Johnny, with bringing the slaves in, are they still going to be slaves? Are they, what's going to happen? I don't think, honestly, she falters because it's that decision of, do I do this now and do it this way, which is, yes, the easier way to get it done, but it's going to be the more guaranteed way, or take the chance and not do it this way, but possibly fail. And you have to, damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of thing. So you got to toss that coin. Now, I think her admitting to saying, I'll give you a dragon for all of these, yeah, that's kind of a bold step. And, I don't know if that'd be the right play, especially giving up the biggest one, Drogon. But I do like her calling out Barristan and Selmy too afterwards. She's like, I have you two to advise me, but if you ever question me in front of strangers again, you will be advising someone else. It's like, okay. And we all know my Danny disdain, or not so much fandom of this section. This Ask to Poor Danny is my absolute favorite Danny from this very first scene all the way
Agree.
through. This is my favorite. This is where she finds who she is and what she can actually do. And so these scenes I actually always do enjoy watching.
She's smarter than your average Viserys.
Yes.
yeah. Um, I think with Barristan really cementing who Rhaegar was, it's another perspective. Because Danny only gets really the 6-year-old Viserys perspective, or whatever, 6 or 7-year-old perspective on Rhaegar because of that significant age difference, I think. Or was he like older than that? I can't remember. He's like, well, a younger perspective on him. Um, besides like people who've like known about him through like letters or ravens and stuff. So it's to have people who are old enough to not only remember who he is, but to one of them who served him. It's kind of a cool thing. But she does pull out the Viserys of he was not the last dragon uh, thing, which is kind of like, Danny, really? You really want to do this now? Um, uh, and the valiant noble and died. People use that a lot in like videos that they use about Rhaegar and the paralleling to Jon, so that could be a thing in the future um, where they're talking about like that again. But the wanting to use a dragon, and she obviously picks the dragon that will obviously understand her commands, is perfect idea. That comes next episode. But like you said, Johnny, earlier, Missandei and her questioning her of freedom potentially in season 8 again, because it was hinted at in season 7 when Jon asks her about if she feels that Danny would let her on a boat, and she says yes, of course. And where would she go? She may try to do that again if Grey Worm is one of the falls victim to the Night King's army, and she sees that things are failing, that she may go away, or she may do it after Danny has maybe died or gone completely insane. Um,
No Thelma and Louise. They're not gonna hold hands and die together.
No, I think they got their Thelma and Louise moment in 509, where they thought that they were
Yeah.
going to be massacred by the harpies. But yeah, I don't feel like she's going to be by Danny's side again. There's probably theories out there or fake plots that it's like Missandei is there. She teaches the child of 700,000 languages that she knows.
See, honestly, this is complete tinfoil on my part. Masanda and Grey Worm, they're ruling Dorne. They're giving. There's no one down there left, so find out.
There's a million plus people down there. There's somebody.
There's no family down there.
There's no family.
That's what I meant. Like no
Martells?
ruling. The Martells are wiped out.
The Danes aren't dead, but they're not gonna bring one back. I think they're just forgetting
what
it.
show
It's
up.
there's gonna be a big earthquake, and Dorne's just gonna fall off the map.
It'll crash into Zopros.
Question. So Danny here is a little more reasonable than she gets later on, right? She gets a little more rash because her decisions backfire on her. Therefore, she goes the opposite direction. She gets extreme with it, which people do, especially when they're young, especially when they're learning. At this point, though, if she found out about Jon being Aegon Targaryen, what do you think she would do? That's a good question.
That is a good question. She would. I don't, unless she met Jon himself and could read the situation, she would think of it as a ploy. So I don't think she would read into it at all. Like, she would just look at it as another usurper trying to take what is rightfully hers until there's proof that can be found.
Now, at this point, called up, and you answered too, so it's the same question, and I'm gonna kind of do a follow up. At this point, what's she gonna do when she finds out as well? I just want to talk about it
because we're here and that was the last scene anyway. So if she was to have found out about Jon in season 3 version of herself, yeah, she'd probably think that it's just fake news, like that it's just like someone who's claiming to be a Targaryen. She'd probably feel that like if they're a Targaryen, why aren't they across the Narrow Sea? Why weren't they taken away? Why did they get to live in Westeros while I had to and my brother had to be pushed away and pushed aside and pushed literally across the Narrow Sea? It could be like that kind of thing where it's like, so someone gets to live in Westeros as considered, I guess at that point would have been considered an open Targaryen, maybe. That's not fair. And yeah, she would probably feel that if it was known that it was Rhaegar's child, like if it was out that it was her brother's child, she may feel slight difference. Because obviously it's a brother that she's never met before, so it may be like, so my brother who I've never met before has a son who's now claiming that he's Targaryen.
I could throw in that she may be on board, especially with her advisors of a political marriage, a stronghold of a native Westerosi who was born and raised there, opposed to her basically being born on Dragonstone and then swept away. So she wasn't even on the mainland. They don't really know about her. It would be her way in. But at this point, I think it's different. But Ben?
So your second part of the question is like, now, how do I think she's going to be reacting when she finds out? I still think she's going to be upfront disbelief, and then once it's proven, like with Branch and the visions and all that, I think she'll fall back to the Targaryen line. I think they'll play that trope up of them legitimately falling in love, and it could go one of several ways. Azor Ahai style, where Jon has to take her out. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, from there, show wise, they want the happy ending. So I see them. I do. I think they want the happy-ish ending at least. But I think I do think Genny's dying, but I think it's going to be dying on decent terms, like childbirth, or she orders him to take her out to, fulfill the prophecy or something along those lines. I don't think it's going to be an anger issue. Again, at least show wise, book wise, I have no fucking clue.
I feel like
Um,
the part that yeah,
and
it's just
thinking books here.
yeah, in the books. I feel like the most problem that she will have with it is that she will have assumed that John's known the entire time that he is a Targaryen, like from the moment he stepped on Dragonstone that he knew, and he just didn't say anything. So that'll be like a thing that probably will be the drama, the couple's drama for like 2 or 3 episodes, is that they found out that they're related and that she probably just assumed that he knew the entire time. Um, until obviously she finds out that she's probably pregnant and all that stuff. I do feel like they will play the she's okay with it, but he's just like, whoa. Thing. Elmar has a question that says she never touched the throne in her vision, so it is possible that she will just let go of that dream. In the video that I had done more specifically about the visions in the House of the Undying, I put it as the perspective of when she's about to touch it, but then it's called away. It's her thing of she's so close at that point in season 7. She's so close to getting exactly what she wants, which is the Iron Throne. All she had to do was take her 3 dragons and her army and basically burn down the Red Keep and get what she wanted. But she's called away by Jon, who wants her to go north. I feel like once she's either married and is married Jon and is giving birth, is that struggle of life or death, and she'll ultimately probably choose death, because there could be a thing where this may go tinfoil, but there may be a thing that there's a report that Jon's died already, or a person that looks like him has died, or there's no news from him in like days or what could have been months at this point. And she just ultimately chooses to go to the Nightlands.
So can I say something really quick?
Yeah.
That's a good point. To your point. So Queen Alyssa, at age 6 and 40 in Fire and Blood, had a child, but basically had to choose between the child or herself, and was given a C-section. I think this is like the first C-section I've seen in A Song of Ice and Fire. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Could something like that happen? That's something that just popped in my head. I believe that's. That would be very.
There could most definitely be a
oh yeah, her making a verbal decision, whether it's her or the baby,
And again, going to the whole Azor Ahai thing, it could be Jon cutting her open, and as he pulls it back, that sword lights up.
Yeah.
Just again, I don't put a whole ton of stock in the Azor Ahai stuff, but
they really, there hasn't been many bursts in the show. Like there hasn't been like many main characters having babies in the show. So there could be a thing of there is that complication, and either Sam has to help him through that decision, or it's like either she's gonna die, or the baby will die, or the both of them will die, like through that process of agony, because babies, they do like it have fetal distress, and if it doesn't come at the right time and all that stuff, it could happen. That would be a thing that would come credence to one of Emilia Clarke thing. One of the things she says about her character is in this season is in her last moments you will find out who she truly is. So that could be a thing of giving up her entire everything that she's built up for her child / for saving them. or it's a
Germ.
thing of
Oh, go ahead.
no, or she just says no, like I'll let my child die again. But there was that thing though in season 5 where she did say she didn't want another child to die because of her. She meant bones dropped at her feet, even though it was like a farmer's child's bones. But it could be the fact that the child maybe dies again, and it's like that. I don't know. I'm going tinfoil here. What did you want to say?
Uh, no, I was thinking about oh God, I lost it for a second. Okay, so Danny. Hmm. Oh my God, I lost my thought. Someone jump in.
Any
Oh, I got it
birth
right here.
something?
So with her giving birth to C-section, and then that's how John is. I don't know about that, but I could see Sam doing it, or ooh, if they had to do it with a piece of dragon glass. But see, because I think the legends get mixed up, right? You play the telephone game, and in a single room, if you just go through a few people, the whole sentence is completely screwed. So I think either we got a few cases of where the last hero is probably different than Azor Ahai. You could say Danny fits Azor Ahai literally. You could say John fits Azor Ahai literally. You could also just say John is the last hero. I don't know about Danny being the last hero, but John does have the companions, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, don't really know where else I was going with that. But I think I'll pick up my thought again in a minute. It was a decent one, I think.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's so many and thing is, I mean, really in the show, have they played up the Azor Ahai prophecy all that much? Apart from a little bit of Stannis and Mel in second season. Besides that, it really hasn't been played up or talked
Yeah.
about.
They kind of just melded it with now the prince that was promised thing. That's just kind of where they've melded it together. It's not really like been distinct besides season 2.
Yeah,
To bring it up, be like, really?
yeah, exactly. So I mean, I can see them trying to tie, like I said, trying to tie some things together, make it paralleled. It's gonna be way more in depth come the books, show wise. They got 6 episodes to get this stuff done. And even if they are longer episodes, it's only 6. Let's say 8 episodes, 8 hours worth of material at best. We're gonna look for maybe 9. So it's. I don't think we're getting everything that we want or would like to see. So I see a lot of that stuff being cut loose from it.
Yeah.
But I do like the thought of where you said that she got so close to the throne and then was pulled away to the north. I'd never thought about it that way.
Yeah, I had that because I kind of compared those scenes to what happens to her in season 7, and yeah, like how she's pulled away by her dragons calling her north, being John, and be like, "Oh, gotta go north," and stuff. It's like kind of tinfoil, but it's just analyzing how the scenes work and how they play out.
Oh yeah, no, it absolutely makes
Yeah.
sense. Once you said it, and I was like, "Oh shit, okay, yeah." Because I thought she turned around from the throne, and that's where Drogo and Rhaegal or Rhaegar, what? Yeah, Rhaego was sitting. But
Mm-hmm.
no, that's after she goes north of the wall. That's when she finds him up there. So that
Yeah.
absolutely makes sense. And who's to say she goes north and still finds her kid? That's the other play on it. So yeah, no,
because it's the whole idea of her. Because after she goes, obviously, it's called North and stuff. Um, she's met with losing a child, being Viserys, and potentially having to lose John in that whole sequence, and choosing what's best for her, which ultimately was to leave with the party besides John and Thoros. But also in that same sort of sentiment, she does go north, and she does potentially. No, it's not even. She is in the north. She's near King's Landing, where they have boat sex.
yeah,
So, who knows?
yeah.
But they'll have to show her get pregnant, or show her with a pregnancy stomach pretty quickly if we're going with, yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
Or they'll just wait until the final episode and be like, guess what? And they're like, no.
Bring back Sheep Quay. When's the last time you bleed, Khaleesi?
Her show up. Like,
You change, Khaleesi. Your boob grow bigger.
When would you last bleed, Khaleesi? And it's like, he's like, let me check. About 5 years ago. Or whenever she has, like, the baby.
Yeah.
Like, it was, about 7 years ago was one last time. But yeah, that, Dany and all of her stuff. Yeah. But yeah, we got the first, like, other mention of Rhaegar in that, which is kind of fun. Because we've always had opposing or one-sided views of him, which is kind of fun. Who knows? He may play up, and he may, who knows? The actor may show up again in a flashback. Who knows? But yet to be seen. Wait till April 14th to figure this out. If we're all crazy or not. I think there was one mention in here. Bran just says that he always thought that Azor Ahai was a legend of people, like you said. But it's odd that that there's a lot of Azor Ahai stories that aren't immediately given. Very true. Yeah, Dany and her complexity. We'll talk about her more probably next episode when we do episode whenever we do it. Speaking of, episode 4 is called Now His Watch Has Ended. About the end of the Lord Commander, Lord Mormont. Yes. And we'll have so much fun. And we might as well give the rating for the episode and final thoughts and where you can find you too, even though everybody probably knows where to find you at this point.
I want Ben to go first because I don't want to steal his rating.
Oh. So my rating for the tripod, the horror layer scene is a 10. 10 out of 10. Done. The rest of the episode gets an 8.25, so that brings an average up to a 9. Great episode, very good movement. It was they had funny bits in there. Had Jamie losing his hand, so we finally start his character arc from just being a dickhead to actually caring about things. We get asked to pour one of the only good Dany interaction in a city is Astropor Dany, and so that's the start of this, so that gets a bonus. So solid 9. I mean, very little in this episode is a negative except for Stannis. What they did with him here just is crap, but besides that, everything else was pretty good.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I'll give it 9 Milanese knots. I know you'll appreciate that. I thought you were going to go with that, so I didn't want to steal it. I had another one backed up for it. The other one would have been 9 Craster's wives. So, whatever you want to go with. Also in the chat, why don't you throw out your rankings? And I thoroughly enjoyed the dialogue of this episode. This is what Game of Thrones is all about. Yes, you have magic. Yes, you have this intrigue, this mystery, but it's not overwhelming. It's not all up in your face and being forced down your throat phrasing. And that's what I love about these earlier seasons. I have to say, season 3 may be my favorite. It's a tough call, but I think season 3 may be my favorite. Everything from Edmure missing all the shots, making his classic fumbling, bumbling mistakes, Rob becoming a man in a sense, all the way to just the Tyrion chair drag and all of the little nuanced politics just in that one room made this episode for me. Not to mention everything that happened in the brothel. Lord Twatface. Love it. Bronn killed it this episode. Didn't even do much and killed it. Just killed it. So, yeah, solid 9.
Yeah. I'd say that this episode is 9 sibling chair drags across the floor, comparison chair drags across the floor. This episode's pretty good for what it is. It's a lot more drama than it is action. But it's good drama, and it has comedic moments, which are just awesome. And you have more of a dramatic, heavy episode. like again, Cersei and Tyrion with the dragging the chairs across the floor. To Tywin being snappy at his literal spy masters who are like, "Why can't you find my son?" To Jaime getting his hand cut off and all of that stuff and what's next for that for him anyway. And so I'll read off some of the ratings for this. So Bran gives it 8 pleasures by tripod. Elmar gives it an 8. Shep to Sand Secrets gives it an 8. So Otilla Angel gives it a 9. Yeah. Or Bran says 8.5 pleasure by tripod, actually. Yeah, my final kind of thought for this is just it's a good episode. It sets up a lot more for almost the second half of this season, almost, because episode 10 slightly like a write-off after episode 9 this season. So, anyway, where can everybody find you if you know everybody knows where to find you, upcoming streams, all that stuff?
Yeah. So you guys know, like I said, podcast that drinks and knows things. Luke kind of put our next stream in the chat there, but we're going to be doing Saturday afternoon covering Battle of the Bastards, looking about 1 p.m. Central time, just to get a midday drunk going. So make sure to check us out there. I'm actually guest hosting again this week on Citadel Trivia. We are covering season 6 of Game of Thrones. That's the whole trivia night. So it's Friday night about 7 p.m. So jump in there, and as soon as we're done there, jump over to your guys' stream, or get both of them going at the same time and really screw yourself up, because that's a lot of fun to try to do. So I'll let you guys give the full plugs for those.
What's he talking about?
Oh, Silent Johns.
No. Okay, so I'll go ahead and shamelessly plug myself. I've already kind of did it. If someone could put drinks and nose links in the chat, someone just start throwing some links of everybody that's got a channel in the chat for me. Or for Kenzie. Sorry, I'm starting to take control. I'm used to hosting. Anyways, check us out tomorrow. Top Shelf Fandom, Mackenzie L. Burns, and myself will be covering Vikings episode 19, season 5. Is it 19?
Yep. And it's called What Happens in the Cave.
What happens in that cave? And I know we get a lot of excitement, some one-on-one battles. Lady Dreamfire, don't spoil it. So tomorrow it'll be a reaction. We're watching it right after this. So, yeah, I cannot wait. Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, Cylon Johns, season 2. Is it episode 3 or 4?
It's season 2, episode 3.
Episode 3, Fragged. So that link will be out tomorrow. Check that out. Also, Saturday, noon Eastern time, The Night Who Smoked the Laughing Tree, John St. Baptiste, and Mackenzie L. Burns will be doing Fire and Blood chapters 8, 9, and 10. Jaharis, Alisanne, Rayella, Alyssa, Aria taking off on Drogon, coming back with some crazy shit inside of her. So you're going to want to check that out. We're preparing pretty good for the stream. It's going to be fantastic. Probably at least a 2-hour stream, because there's a lot in these 3 chapters. It's like 100 pages, but there's so much there. If you have time, catch up on it on the audiobook. Also, we'll be doing an episode club tomorrow at some point in time, more than likely. So be on the lookout for that, and just random episode clubs here and there, because we're trying to catch up. Thank you so much, Mackenzie, for having me on. And Sly the Tank Benjamin, you're awesome, my friend. And I will shut the hell up now.
Yes, thank you, Mackenzie. Thank you, Johnny. I appreciate you guys always letting me jump on at whims and having a fun time. It's always fun to just hang out with you guys.
No problem. This episode was a good one, and we had a great conversation about it, because why not? It's Game of Thrones, and don't really get to talk about it too much more, really, until all that other stuff happens with the prequel. But regardless, yes, you can find me here and everywhere where Johnny pretty much says, and who knows, something else will happen. But anyways, we've kept you all long enough, and we'll see you guys some point for episode 4. Bye.